Hey everyone, welcome to this video. In this lecture, you will learn how to create a user account in Linux using the adduser and useradd commands. Now, user provisioning is one of the routine tasks that Linux administrators carry out from time to time. Now, to follow along, here's what you need. You need an instance of Linux. So for demonstration purposes, I'll be using Ubuntu 24.04, which comes with the adduser command included. Now, you can deploy a Linux instance on Cherry Servers. Now, Cherry Servers is a leading European cloud infrastructure provider that offers excellent cloud servers for your business workloads at competitive prices. So, without much further ado, let's get started. Before we start creating users, let's have a look at the categories of users in Linux. Now, in Linux, there are two broad categories of users. We have regular users and system users. So starting off with regular users, these are the users created by the root or administrative user, also known as the sudo users. And these users have login capabilities and home directories that contain personal files and folders. On the other hand, system users are created by the system during the installation of the operating system or software packages, and these are typically used by the system to run system services. All right. Now, we have two main ways of adding users on a Linux system. You can use the adduser command, or alternatively, you can use the useradd command. Now, the two carry out the same task but employ a different execution method. The adduser command is a powerful and user-friendly command line tool for adding users on a Linux system. It provides an interactive approach for adding users and is typically preferred to the useradd command. Now, to add a user, simply invoke sudo followed by the adduser command like that, then followed by the username. So for example, to add a user called Alex, all you need to do is to run the command sudo adduser Alex and hit enter. Now this will take you through an interactive prompt. So as you can see from the first line, it adds a new user called Alex. Then it selects a range of UIDs and GIDs from the range of 1000 to 59,999. Okay. Now it also adds a new group that corresponds to the username, in this case Alex. So as you can see, it assigns a GID of 1001, then adds the new user Alex with the UID of 1001, which also corresponds to the group ID with the group ID Alex. Okay. Now it also creates the home directory for Alex, as you can see here, and copies files from /etc/scale to the home directory. All right. Now here you'll be prompted to provide the user's password. So here I'm going to provide my preferred password for this user, and then you'll be required to confirm this password and hit enter. So once you have confirmed the password, you'll get this prompt here informing you the password has been successfully updated. So here you'll now be required to provide a few values. So here I'll just provide Alex as the full name, then hit enter. Now for the subsequent prompts, you can provide additional details, but this is not necessary. So here I'm just going to press enter to skip providing more details. And finally, you'll be asked to confirm whether this information is correct. So in my case, I'm just going to type Y on the keyboard and hit enter. Now for the last actions, you're going to see that the user has been added to a supplemental group called users here. Okay. And also Alex has been added to also a group called users. All right. Okay. So now to confirm that the user has been added, you can use the ID command followed by the username. So here I'm going to type ID followed by the username, in this case Alex. So from the terminal, you can see the user Alex bears the ID of 1001, belongs to the primary group with the GID, which is equivalent to the user ID, in this case 1001, and belongs to two groups. The first group is the primary group, also known as Alex, and the secondary group is the users group, which is the supplemental group that was created once the user was created. Okay, you can also use the cat command to view the password file. So you can run the command cat, then followed by the path of the password file. Then I'm going to pipe the output to grep with the -i flag for ignoring case sensitivity. Then I'm going to search for the entry called Alex. So as you can see here, we have the entry for the user we have just created. Okay, so this confirms that we have successfully added the user called Alex. Okay, so here you can see the name of the user, Alex. So the second field is the encrypted password, which is represented by the symbol X. So the third column is the UID, which is 1001, and this corresponds also to the GID 1001. Okay, so here you can see the path to the home directory, and this is the user's default shell. So as you can see, the adduser command is a straightforward and easy way, especially for beginners. Okay, and to run this command, you need to be root or a sudo user. Okay, so we ran these commands as a sudo user called Cherry. Okay, so that's it for the adduser command. All right, now in the next section, we are going to look at how to add users using the useradd command. Unlike the adduser command, which is native to Debian and Ubuntu based systems, the useradd command comes included in all Linux distributions by default. So you'll typically find it included in Debian based systems as well as Red Hat, Arch Linux, and other major and minor Linux distributions. So like its counterpart, adduser command, you can only run it using a sudo user or root. Okay, so for the useradd command, it takes the following syntax. So you first specify useradd, followed by the options, then followed by the username. And to start off, we are going to create a new user without any useradd options. Okay, so for example, to create a user called Alice, simply run the command sudo, then followed by useradd, then the username, in this case Alice, and then hit enter. Okay, so unlike the adduser command, it doesn't provide you with an interactive prompt. Okay, so we have created the user Alice. Now to allow Alice to log into the system, you need to set a password, and to do so, run the command sudo password, then followed by the username, in this case Alice, and make sure password is spelled out as we have done here. So this is PASSWD. Okay, so there's no O and R between W and D. Okay, so I'm gonna hit enter. So here I'm gonna provide Alice's password, and then I'm going to confirm this by retyping it, and there you go. So as you can see, the password has been updated successfully. Okay, and like before, we can confirm the user has been created by using the ID command followed by the username. Okay, so as you can see, Alice now has been created with the UID of 1002, and she belongs to the group with a group ID of 1002. Okay, so this is the primary group. Okay, so yeah, that's what we have, and this is the name of the group called Alice. All right, also you can view the password file using the cat command. So here, cat /etc/password. Then I'm going to pipe this output to grep with the -i option for ignoring case sensitivity, and there we go. So we have successfully created the user called Alice using the useradd command. All right, so in the next step, we are going to see how to create a user with a specific user ID. As you may have noticed, the system automatically assigns a UID and a GID to a user upon creation. All right, so for example, here we created a user called Alice, and the user took the UID of 1002 and a GID of the same value. okay, 1002. All right. Now the values for the UID range from 1000 to 60,000, and these are contained or specified in the flogin.defs file. Okay. Now let's assume you want to create a user with a specific user ID using the useradd command. To do so, run the command sudo useradd. Then to specify a unique user ID, pass the -u option like that, followed by the UID. So for example, to create a new user called Bob with a UID of 1005, run the command sudo useradd -u, then specify the UID, in this case 1005, followed by the username Bob, and hit enter. All right, so let's confirm the user has been created with the said user ID. So I'm gonna run the command id Bob. Okay, and there we go. So as you can see, the user Bob now bears the ID or the UID of 1005 and the GID of 1005. All right. So to specify a specific or unique UID, all you need to do is to run the useradd command with the -u option, followed by the user ID, then finally the username. Okay. Up to this point, you have seen that whenever we are creating a new user, the UID is the same as the GID. So for example, when we created the user Alice, you can see the UID is the same or takes after the GID. Also, the same applies for Bob. The UID is 1005 and so is the GID. Now you can create a user with a specific group ID. All right. And to do this, let me clear the screen. And to do this, all you need to do is to run the useradd command with the -g option. Then you specify the group name or the GID number. All right. So for example, to create a user called John with the GID of 100, simply run the command sudo useradd -g followed by the GID, in this case 100, followed by the user called John. Now, one thing you need to note is that this number here, this value here, is the GID of an existing group. Okay, so you need to ensure that the GID you supply here corresponds to an existing group. So in my case here, this GID corresponds to the users group, which is a supplementary group that users are usually added to. Okay, so here I'm just gonna press enter. All right, so now I can confirm this using the command id John and hit enter. So here you can see John belongs or bears the UID of 1006. Meanwhile, the user belongs to a group with the GID of 100. Okay, so here you can see John's UID is 1006, and meanwhile the group ID is 100. All right, so that's how you go about it. Okay, also this would have been the equivalent of running the command sudo useradd -g users, then specify the username, or in this case John. Okay, so this would have provided the same result. All right, so this group users here corresponds to the GID of 100, and just to confirm this, you can view the group file, which is etc then group. Okay, so here we are going to search for users, and as you can see, users has the GID of 100. All right, so you need to ensure that every time you do this, you're adding the user to an existing group. Okay, you can also verify this by running id -gn then John, then hit enter. So as you can see, John belongs to a group called users, and we have seen this corresponds to the GID of 100. All right, okay, so that's it. Now in the next step, we are going to see how to create a Linux user and assign multiple groups. In this section, we will see how to create a Linux user with a unique primary and secondary groups. Now, a Linux user can belong to two broad categories of groups. We have an exactly one primary group, which is the default group, and one or more secondary groups. Okay, so to demonstrate this, we are going to create a user called Mac with a primary group called users and belonging to two secondary groups, in this case KVM and admin. And to do that, what you need to do is to run the useradd command, then use the -g option, lowercase g, specify the primary group. Okay, so here we are going to create the user called Mac belonging to the primary group called users. Okay, then I'm going to specify the uppercase G option to specify the secondary groups. So here we have KVM and admin, and make sure there is no space between the comma and the group names. Okay, then finally I'm going to terminate the command by specifying the username, in this case Mac. Okay, so this is the entire command. We are adding Mac to a group, a primary group called users, and two secondary groups, KVM and admin. Okay, so I'm gonna hit enter. All right, so to verify this, I'm going to run id Mac. So as you can see, Mac belongs to a group called users, the primary group called users. Okay, and two secondary groups, KVM. We have KVM here, and also we have admin. And like I mentioned before, whenever you're adding a user to a group, you need to ensure that the group already exists. Okay, so these two groups, KVM and admin, already exist, and you can confirm this by checking the group file. So here I'm going to search. For KVM. You can see it already exists. Let's do the same for admin, and you can see that group already exists. Okay, so be sure to ensure that these groups already exist in this file before creating a user. Okay, now in the next step, we are going to see how to create a new user with a home directory. By default, the user command does not create a home directory when a new user is added. And just to confirm this, I'm going to run the ls/home. And as you can see, we only have two users. We have the user called Alex that was created using the adduser command, and likewise for the Cherry user account. Okay, so for the other accounts that we have created, such as Alice and Mac, you can see they do not fall, or they do not have a home directory. Okay, all right, now to create a new user with a home directory included, all you need to do is to pass the -m option. All right, so for example, to create a new user called Patrick with a home directory, simply run the command sudo, then useradd with the -m option, like that. Then here we're going to specify the username, in this case Patrick, and hit enter. All right, now let's check if Patrick now has a home directory. So all I need to do is to run ls-la, then /home/Patrick. So if you press tab, it's going to autocomplete. Okay, so here we are getting the permission denied error. So here I'm going to repeat using sudo. Okay, so /home/Patrick. And as you can see, these are the default files contained in the Patrick's home folder or home directory. Okay, also I can simply run the ls command with the /home, And as you can see, now we have the Patrick's folder in the /home directory. All right, so that's how you go about including the home directory when adding a new user. So all you need to do is to pass the -m option, then followed by the username, and this is going to create the user's home directory. Okay, now in the next step, we are going to see how to create a user with a unique home directory or a home directory in a different path. As you have seen, the default behavior of the useradd command is to place the user's home directory in the /home path. Okay, and it's this one here, /home. So this is where the user's home directories are placed. Okay, now you can also create a user with a unique home directory, okay, by passing the -d option. All right, so for example, to create a new user called Bill with a home directory in a different path, such as /opt/bill, all you need to do is to run the command sudo useradd. Then here, since we are creating a home directory, we're going to pass the -m option, then use the -d flag to specify a different path. So for example, /opt/bill. Okay, then finally you end this command with the username, in this case Bill. So hit enter. So this is going to create the home directory for Bill in this location here. Okay, so let's confirm this. You can check the password file. So cat etc password, then I'm going to search for the entry called Bill, and here you can see the path has now changed to /opt/bill. Okay, so that's how you define a unique directory path. You simply use the -d option followed by the path of the user's home directory. All right, in the next step, we are going to see how to create a user with a specific comment. A comment is simply a short description of the user and can include anything from a phone number, a job title, residence, etc. Now, to add a description, we use the -c option. So for example, let's assume you want to create a new user called George with a job title Human Resource Manager. Run the command sudo useradd with the -c option. Now C is lowercase. Then provide the comments. For example, Human Resource Manager, like that. Then enclose this with a double quotation mark, then followed by the username, in this case George, and hit enter. So here I'm going to provide my sudo password. Okay, now let's preview the entry for George in the password file. So I'm going to once again run the cat command like this, and then I'm going to pipe the output to grep, and then I'm going to search for the entry of George. And as you can see here on the 5th field, you get Human Resource Manager. So this is the comment, okay, here, and this gives a short description of the user. Okay, so that's how you go about creating a comment. So you just need to pass the -c option, then include the comment inside the double quotation mark followed by the username. Okay, all right, so that's it about adding a comment. Now in the next section, which is our last section, we're going to create a user with an account expiry date. And lastly, you can create a new user and enforce an account expiry date such that once the account expires, the user will no longer be able to log in. And this is mostly used when creating temporary users. So to demonstrate this, I'm going to create a new user called Christine, whose account expires on February 20th, 2025. And to do so, I'm simply going to evoke the useradd command like this, then specify the date with the -e option. So I'm going to specify the expiry date in year, month, and date format. So here we have 2025. and this is the second month, which is February, and the exact date is 20th. Then finally I'm going to finish off with the name of the user, in this case Christine. So I'm gonna hit enter. Okay, now to check the password expiry details, run the charge command like that with the -l option, then followed by the username, in this case Christine, and hit enter. So as you can see in the fourth row here, you can see the expiry date, which you have just set, and this is on February the 20th, 2025. And once this date approaches, or once this account gets to this date, the account will be locked and the new user will no longer be able to log in. Okay, now here in the last column, or in the last row, you can see the number of days of warning before the password expires. So when it approaches 7 days to the expiry date, the user will be warned to change the password. Okay, all right, so guys, that's it for this tutorial. In this tutorial you learned various ways of creating a user in Linux, and primarily you learned how to do so using the adduser command as well as the useradd command. Okay, so that's it guys. If you found this insightful, please do leave a like and subscribe to our channel so that we can make more of these Linux tutorials. So from us, it's goodbye and see you in the next lecture.